Hi everyone. Before the episode begins, this is future editing Danny here. I just wanted to let you all know this is a little bit of a more rambly episode. It's a little bit more chaotic, but in the end, it is an episode about self care, about passion, about be willing to take risks, about trying to feel safe and not burning out. That's the core of the message. I try to keep it as natural as possible, and I hope you enjoy it. I know it might be a little bit of a ride, but be patient, stay with me, and I promise there is something you're going to take away from it. So, thank you very much for being here. This is the fourth episode. This would be my 1 month anniversary kind of thing. That's why I wanted to do it a little bit different. So, thanks again. Let the episode begin. You failed. That's it. You failed. I know it feels awful, but you have the right to fail. So please take a breath and try again. If you feel passionate enough to try again. And if not, that's okay too. Because at the end of the day, you are what matters most. Welcome to Creative Contraband.
Welcome to How to Be a Better DM, the show that helps dungeon masters tell better stories and run more engaging games. This is Creative Contraband, where we take ideas from elsewhere and smuggle them into our craft to take it one step further. And remember, all of this is brought to you by Session Zero Studios.
Welcome everyone once again. Thanks for being here another Monday. I really appreciate it. And today is going to be a little bit of a different episode. As you can maybe see from my voice, I have had a little bit of a rougher week, but it has given me lots to think about, and I think there is a lot of things that we can all learn and apply together to be better dungeon masters or game masters. So, as always, thanks again for being here. You can follow the podcast on Instagram at How to Be a Better DM podcast, and you can follow me too at gamemaster.hof. Hof as in Hofzinser or as in Hall of Fame, HOF, gamemaster.hof. You can find lots of stuff over there. Maybe I am going to be uploading some reels with some more information or some more quotes and inspiration pieces. So make sure to give us all a like. And I also want to thank you all because I have been getting lots of positive feedback in the Discord especially, and that really feels amazing. So thanks a lot. Today I am going to talk a little bit about taking care of ourselves as dungeon masters, as game masters, and that might sound trivial at times because it's not really like something we do at the table with the players and stuff, but it is very important because if we burn out as game masters, then our players won't have a table to play at. So it is very important, and it's actually pretty easy too, because as dungeon masters we usually juggle lots of stuff. We have to deal with prepping sometimes for more than one table, especially for professional DMs. It's really hard sometimes to take care of ourselves and at the same time having to deal with everything that comes with mastering a game. For example, there's many times where players can say no to some D&D sessions. That's not how all tables roll, but that happens. We know that happens. But as game masters, we can't say the same, because if we are not there, then there is just no game. If a player misses the session, I personally hate it. I don't really like running games without one player at all. But I know some other tables do it, and it makes a whole lot of sense, because if you are running a long form campaign, you have to be running it for 2 years or something, then of course there are going to be weekends where maybe one of the guys just can't make it, because life happens and stuff. And we can adapt to that. We can make their character AFK, or we can just treat it as an NPC, or... there are many workabouts, what's the word? Workarounds, I think. To make that work. But as game masters, we have a pressure. We have a responsibility. Again, it's not only the prepping, it's the being there. And it's the doing stuff. You set the mood. So you have to be in a certain mood. If you are running horror, you have to be horrific. What I mean, if you have to be able to set the mood, you have to act a little bit. You have to be able to play with the tone of your voice. Because if you don't, and this is in no way a shade to game masters who don't do the voice thing or whatever at all. Of course not. We all have our different tools that we use to set the mood and stuff. But we still have that responsibility. In the end, mood is our responsibility, mostly at least. And especially for us GMs who master tables for newer players, who don't really know many times how to deal with stuff or how to set the mood themselves. So it's a lot of weight on our shoulders, and sometimes we don't do ourselves any favors by over-prepping and writing 100 pages of lore, or 50 or 20, whatever. It depends on the style, as I said before, but we don't do ourselves any favors. And the burnout in game masters is a really huge thing. It's a big issue. And I know this for a fact, not only because it has happened to me, but because I know many people who has gone through it. And you can spend 10 minutes reading in social media, in Reddit, and you're going to see lots of cases. You're going to read about a lot of people who went through this. So we need to be patient with ourselves. Most of us do this because we are passionate about it, because we really like it, because it helps us express ourselves. Because world building is such a stimulating thing that most of us enjoy. And if we lose that passion, if we burn ourselves out, then we are bringing a problem not only to ourselves, to our spouses, to our family, friends, but we are bringing a problem to our table too. So, yes, we have to prep. Not really. In some cases, we can just go with the flow. But usually it's better to over-prep than to under-prep. At least that's my take. And that's why we are doing this podcast too. That's why you are here listening to this podcast, because this is part of prepping. Not only prepping the table, of course you're not prepping your session now, but you are prepping yourself as a game master. And the second thing I wanted to talk about in this episode is that this is, for me at least, I wanted this episode to be a love letter for growing as people, as artists. Today, this podcast releases its 4th episode, so it's been a month. I have officially completed a month with this segment, and I am so grateful to the Session Zero Studios team. Justin has been amazing the whole time. It has been a really good experience for me. But I have been noticing this week in particular that I was pushing myself to do more research than I needed to, maybe. And I was spending lots more time with the scripts than was needed, probably. I still like scripting stuff, and I love doing deep research in the topics. It's something that makes me feel really good, but I don't want to lose the passion that makes me put all the time that I usually do in this. And today and yesterday I was thinking that maybe that was a realistic option if I was not careful enough. So yeah, still, what I wanted to tell you at the end of the day is that Building our inner world as people is very important. Read if you can, listen to music, Google the lyrics, watch movies, consume art. I don't like the word consuming, but you know what I mean. Go to shows, go to the theater, or maybe just do some research or watch some video essays in YouTube about something that you are passionate about. And if you're struggling finding that passion in a topic, you can look for new topics. Maybe you like true crime and you can just look for lots of that, and all of that is going to give you knowledge that you can then apply at your table. Everything you do to grow as a person, to have a bigger or wider inner world, is going to help you, especially when you have to improv or do some world building. I don't know if you have seen the movie Slumdog Millionaire, but we are talking a little bit about that. So everything you see, everything you read is going to give you tools that you can then use. But you have to enjoy that too. Ideally, you don't have to force yourself to do that. Of course, we have to push through every once in a while when we have to do something and we are not really in the mood maybe, or we are feeling a little bit under the weather, but the table is tomorrow. Maybe every once in a while, it makes sense. That's okay. But we have to be careful. And, okay, I think I'm rambling a little bit. I now want to introduce a third topic, which is put yourself out there. Research, learn, consume art, listen to music, go to shows, but have fun doing it. Don't force yourself to do it. Do it while taking care of yourself. And when you get that knowledge, play with it. Bring it to the table. I have a real life example. I just thought about this. I have always liked Sherlock Holmes and Arthur Conan Doyle's books. And once I found a book called Mr. Holmes, if I remember correctly. It was by a Mexican author, and it was about the life Sherlock Holmes would have had after retiring as a detective. And the book itself is okay, but just okay in my opinion. But Sherlock Holmes is working as a beekeeper in his last years of life. And the book goes into lots of detail about beekeeping. And I learned so much about beekeeping that I didn't know and that I wouldn't have learned otherwise. That's very interesting because now, whenever I have to build an NPC, I can actually make a beekeeper one. Or maybe if my party comes into a farm and I have to make an NPC on the fly, or I have to make the scenario up on the fly, I am totally capable of describing a beekeeping farm. But it is going to be a risk, the first time at least, because I have not done it before. And that's okay. That's what I meant by put yourself out there. So, going back the whole way in this example, number one of the 3 tips I am kind of giving, I guess. The first one is experience lots of art. Learn as much as you can about the things that you are passionate about. In my case, it was consuming a Sherlock Holmes book. Number 2, do it with care. I was not forcing myself to read a beekeeping book because I am not really interested in that and I would totally get burnt out if I had tried to. I was just reading Sherlock Holmes, which is something I like to do. And 3, put yourself out there. So now I can use the beekeeping knowledge to give my players a better experience. So it's a full circle, as you can see. And I really just wanted to bring that to this episode. Today is a way more improvised episode. And I just wanted to thank you all because it has been a really good experience this first month. And I really hope I can keep helping you for a good while. I would love to hear your experiences and stories if any of you has gone through something similar, consuming a piece of media or doing some research or whatever, and then finding that maybe you used it at the table. So yeah, that would be it. Today there's no quote, today there's no word, today there's no answering questions, because in this mini anniversary episode I wanted to do something a little bit more heartfelt, and yeah. Okay, I am actually leaving you with a quote. It's a quote I really love. It goes, "It's okay to be seen trying." That's it. Don't be afraid of trying. It's okay to be seen trying. And it's okay to be seen failing. It's okay. So take care of yourself. Bring this new knowledge to the table. Keep being passionate about what you do. And hopefully we will see you next week with another handcrafted episode. So until then, let's roll initiative. Ciao.
This is Creative Contraband, brought to you by Session Zero Studios.